Thank you, everyone, for having me here. And that's what I was about to say. Now, you guys and I have something in common, and that is that I've sat where you guys have sat, or I've sat where you guys are sitting right now. And that wasn't really long ago. I think that was about 5 years ago, Mr. Hanley. I am a late bloomer. I intended to do plastic surgery, and then why? Well, my heart was here. I'll always tell you that. It was media, but I was chasing the money. And then I thought, you know what? I'm making 8.50 the hour at Forever 21. Heck yeah, I can do this. I'll move out to San Antonio and go to Our Lady of the Lake no matter what. $16,000 scholarship. I mean, it's gonna get me far, right? I mean, at least 2 semesters. Didn't even get me through one. I started selling cars, and then it is in this city where I I knew what it was to be hungry, literally and figuratively. Uh, I would hunt for meals that were frozen in the fridge at Forever 21 San Antonio, and I would scope and see which ones were left for about a month or so, because that's how hungry I was. And then I started selling cars. And then I became very successful at selling cars. I became the #1 salesman at Mitsubishi in Texas. And then I started making over $80,000 a year as a 21-year-old. And I'm like, this is it. This is what I intended to be. Easy money, no struggles. I didn't have to pay back any bills, to educational institutes that are just gonna keep it and bag it, and there I go with just a lot of debt. At the end of the day, if you're not doing what you love, if you're not doing what's really in your heart, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you will not be happy, and there will be a hunger deeper than any other physical hunger that you will encounter. Because that one did make me come back to El Paso, right? And I stopped selling cars, of course, and at the age of 25, I went back to Valle Verde Community College. Mr. Hanley was one of my first professors, and it is in here where I learned that there is no such thing as a small market, as a small city, but there is small mindsets, small people that think small. That's what there is. Mr. Hanley may remember me from one of the or two silly assignments that I came up and put together. And I've always been like that. I take life a bit seriously when it has to, but other than that, I try to enjoy it. I try to have fun, and that's why I'm going into this business. Now, let me tell you a little bit of what I did after this. I transitioned into NMSU. I don't know if you're considering NMSU or UTEP. They're both great. I have colleagues that have gone to both. Most of them have gone to NMSU. I can tell you why I chose NMSU at any point. But I believe it was 2 weeks before graduation at NMSU. And I don't know if you know Hugo Perez, Mr. Handley, but he is one of my greatest mentors as well. And I asked him, Hugo, you know what? 2 weeks until graduation and I have no job. I just ask you, if I find no job and I have my diploma, will you still let me come back to the lab, get the camera, and get a demo ready so I can go out and apply everywhere I can? He's like, yes, this is your home. Once you step into this building, you can always come back. Then I felt that I had that, then I felt like secure. And then there was this opportunity at KVIA, but it was not in front of the camera. It was as an editor and what's a photojournalist. So I ask you what you want to do specifically, because you also have to stay true to that. Whether it is advertising, I have a minor in marketing, and one I would love to jump into that. Actually, I do a little bit of marketing now as a sports director. But it is important that you do what you want to do, because that hunger that I'm talking about since the beginning will never cease to exist until you satisfy it. And I said, yes, I want to be your editor and your new photojournalist. although I didn't really want to, but you have to get your foot in the door, right? So I started with my shift being at 4 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. I would wake up at 2 a.m. and eventually I got to the point where I would arrive at the station probably like at 5 a.m. and edit the show, and they would already be airing on air, and I'd be halfway through the show still editing all the VOs. But then, you get the hang of things and you eventually learn that this is a fast-paced business and it will eat you up. Whatever they have you doing, they need you there. So if you really want to do that, stay in the business and pursue something else, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to go where nobody is willing to go. You have to be awake maybe sometimes when people are asleep. The first time that I aired one of my packages, I spent 14-hour shift, a 14-hour shift at KVIA because a reporter thought that a VO, which is just a 30 to 1 minute video, right, of just something, and then they read over it. It was just about a cleanup. And they're like, well, nobody's really willing to do it. And yeah, it was not newsworthy, I'll tell you that. But it was what I had. And I went and I did like this whole creative transition, stand up. And you know what? After the 14-hour shift, I couldn't go home. I had to watch it there at the station. And I can tell you, it freaking sucked. It was the worst thing I had ever seen or put together. But I had done it. I had shown them that I was willing to do the work, and I had proven to myself that I was willing to go through all that pain. Now, fast forward to that, I eventually became an MMJ at KVIA, and they offered me, I signed for $14.50 the hour, the first time that I was employed with them. And then they had told me, here you go, lucky to me, they had only signed me for 13 months. This is how much they believed in me at the beginning. But this is why it's important that you guys believe in yourselves. Because all my other colleagues had gotten 2 years, 3-year contracts. I mean, so you look at it and you're like, why am I only worth 1 year, right? But it plays out. You have to believe in yourself. You have to work. And I will tell you this, before coming to Telemundo, because you can hear my English is a bit choppy. Mi primer lenguaje es el español. Entonces, para mí, de entrada, Spanish is like my most comfortable language. But I will do this, and to be honest, 100%, Mr. Hanley, I am freaking dying right now of nerves, and I'm very anxious, but it's something that I've learned to control and kind of manage and push through. So this is one of the things also that I wanted to share with you. I went and I applied at Univision as a weekend anchor and 3 days of MMJing, which was freaking great because here they were offering me, 30 cents the first year, and then it would jump another 47 cents the second year. And that is crazy, right? Because when I got the job offer at Univision, they had doubled my salary, the offer that they had told me. But there's such a thing when you sign contracts at TV stations that are called non-compete clause. Those clauses pretty much keep you from applying anywhere else in the city. If you want to go somewhere, you can't until that is due. So the way it works for me, since it was 13 months, I would have to go and work 13 months, and then after those 13 months, I would have to stay 6.5 months also not applying anywhere else, because then it applies half of the period that you were employed at or from in there. So my colleagues that got employed for 2 years, then they have to wait a year. So they would have to either find a job outside of news, right, or go to a different market. So why do I say this? Because when you want to do something, you want to make sure that you do it and you excel at it. So fast forward, I applied at Telemundo, and it wasn't even intended to be as the news director. I'm sorry, as the sports director or the sports anchor. But when I got the chance, I went for it, and I can tell you that's been 3 years. This year, I've been awarded with the Emmy for the best sports anchor in the state of Texas and the best multimedia journalist in the state of Texas this 2025. And that is not because also anybody, if you know what it is like to have something and be uncomfortable with it. Let me tell you, have you ever heard of La Mordida? So La Mordida is something that we do in Mexican culture when there's a birthday, right? We all sing the birthday song and we start chanting Mordida, Mordida. So when I came into my new job, it was a big responsibility because all of the operations in sports were going to fall on me. There was no sports anchor for 2 years at Telemundo before I got hired. So my job was to become, in my boss's words, el chico de los deportes, the sports guy in El Paso. My beautiful face right there. Thank you, Mr. Hanley. And he told me, you have to do something that relates to the community, something that connects with people, because Univision, their ratings are the highest among, like they beat KBIA, they beat KTSM. The audience goes for Univision all the time, but it's something that they've been doing for, I think, decades. I think it's 20 plus years. I think it's actually 30. So my job was to make sports relevant, not only for myself being introduced in my new role, but I had to put my whole station on the map for everyone else, which also getting no guidance from anyone, it's kind of a big challenge. So one of the biggest things in news in sports, since we don't have a lot of, we have the locals. Actually, I did not apologize. I am sorry I was here late. I was doing a little bit of logistics. If you guys don't know, this is the first time in history that the Locomotive FC will have a day game. So they will play right now at 12, receiving Oakland Roots. So I am sorry, I was just running logistics with that because I will have to be there a little bit late, and that is okay. But kind of turned into a control freak, Mr. Hanley. We'll talk about that later. I'm kidding, I'm not that bad. Anyway, so aside from that, and Chihuahuas and UTEP and MSU, a lot of KTSM, KVIA, I find out that they do that, and MSU and UTEP, especially because they have strong connections and they have all these advertising deals, right? Which is like, yeah, heck yeah, you got the exclusives. So you have to learn how to work around that and make yourself relevant. So Univision didn't do something that they did, though. They covered local sports, they covered high school sports, they covered football season. And what I did is that basically I jumped in the high school football season scene, and I came up with a game of the week plan that involved a cake, because I had come from Channel 7 and I saw that they had ¿cómo se llama el sweet play of the week, which they take cupcakes from Albertsons, one of their sponsors, right? And then they deliver it and they kind of like cheer and everybody gets a cupcake if there's enough. So I always liked that, but I always thought that, these are high school football players. Like, they're not intended to be cupcake sweet. So I came up with La Mordida. I talked this over with my chief photog, and he's like, I love it. I don't know if they are, though, but I love it. I went to my executive producer and my news director, and I said, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to find the best football player in the week. Doesn't have to be bless you. It doesn't have to be a victory. It doesn't have to be anything special, but it has to be a good play. And we're going to go and kick the player. Wait, what? Yeah, we're going to have him pick one of his teammates and then do a kicking and kind of like do the celebration. And then they heard it and they're like, well, there's all these questions, right? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And I'm like, we can do that. We need to find a differential point. And that's what you always have to find. And that is going in the uncomfortable zone, being comfortable in the uncomfortable, going where nobody is willing to go. At first, even my peers were like, dude, nobody is going to take you seriously if you're going to do this kind of shit. You're a sports anchor. You're a sports director. What do you mean you're going to go out with a cake with a bunch of students and you're just going to go make a whole mess? Well, I'm like, dude, you just got to work with me. Can you put the La Mordida, please? Just type La Mordida Horizon. Google. It should pop up in the website. So I want to show you this clip because in order for me to have been, so let me explain to you, do you guys know how the Emmys work? Even a lot of people in my business discredit them. I'll tell you why. The thing with the Emmys, you have to first pay to be a member of the Emmy organization. What does that mean? You get access to their files and you get access to the uploading site. So once you do that, there's different categories that you can submit work to on a yearly basis. And there's a call for that, and they give you dates to do so. It's $150 per submission. So it's a hefty sum plus the membership that you already paid on top of that, right? Then, the experts that judge your work are other journalists in different markets that are not in your state. It could be from Nevada, California, Florida. So you don't even know if these professionals, the problem with it, that they will be as invested in paying attention to the small details. So a lot of my peers or a lot of people in my profession will say, that's bullshit. Because I don't get to know who judged it. And who are they to, why are they so-called experts? I mean, we don't even know who judged them. Well, I say to that that is bullshit. Because we are in the business of TV, we are in the business of gathering attention. If you cannot gather attention with a piece of work that you're submitting, then I don't think it's worth being submitted. So, I'm sorry, and I get very passionate about things like this. But this piece that I'm trying to, and then, no, let me see, La Mordida. Here, I'll type it for you, Mr. Hanley. Here you go. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, this is to be considered, or in order to be in the category for best sports anchor, you have to submit a clip that is that has 4 of your best works or your best displays. And this is one of the things that I included because I think it entails what I do in a very short thing. And this is what I mean. Yes, I am a sports anchor. I'm a sports director, but sometimes I still am the guy that sat in front of you, Mr. Hanley. I don't take life very seriously when it doesn't have to, because sports, at the end of the day, it's the most important thing out of everything that is not important. Sports is just here for entertainment. Sports, yes, there's a lot of news, but it is also, or the way that I saw it to connect with my audience, with the people at Telemundo, is that little topping in your coffee at Starbucks, is the little whipped cream, or it's that two pumps of spice, pumpkin spice, you know? It's that little thing that gives it flavor, and it's got to be different after you hear all this news that you just can't control sometimes what the content is. This is one of the things that you can control, and that is the sports segment. And this is kind of what I do on a daily basis when there's football season, of course. So that's basically what I do. And what you saw right now, that coming back, she was gonna go do something, right? And then she heard mordida, and then she was like, I'm just gonna do that. That is what I hope to create with this thing. And so far, it's worked out. It's going on its third season, and it's gotten from, you're gonna go do what with my player, to, why haven't you chosen us to have the cake over? There's several schools that we haven't visited yet. There's only two that have made us come back for a second visit. And probably now, if you know a football player and if you ask them, do you know of La Mordida? 95% of them will know about this segment, and 95% of them expect it every week when there is a football season going on. And that is what I was hoping to get. Now, when you have an advertising element to that, then you also have to know what audience you're speaking to, because what you just saw right now is the Spanish version of this mordida. I also make an English version. So I edit this, and I edit something else for social media, and that I do it in English, and I also write whatever caption I do in English, because my audience in social media is targeted for the young ones. And my audience with this is your grandma. Let's be realistic. Spanish TV is mostly watched by grandma, or people who are really invested in our shows that come before the newscasts or after. So that led me to learn that the content matters around whatever you put. So if you put something like this, do you think your kids will want to tune in to the 10 p.m. show? Yeah. Yeah, if you get the scoop, yeah. I won't post it on social media until I know they've watched it on my show. And that's how it works. I make sure they get their views and then I get mine. So find the differential point. That's very important. What else? Well, and I also covered the World Series in Arizona. I went to the first Super Bowl in Las Vegas and covered that. This year I was selected to cover for the whole station group nationwide, Chivas and America game in Guadalajara. And I am also part of Telemundo Deportes now. I cover the Texans, I cover the Rockets, and I cover the Houston Astros right now. And I'm trying to work my way into the Colorado market. I also do all of that because I've found differential points in this small market in El Paso. Now, I cannot tell you when was the last time an anchor from El Paso was recognized statewide as the best in sports. But I did it because of players like them and because of our community and because we do have a differential point that sometimes we just don't exploit as much. Whatever you do, whatever you are here for, whatever makes you be in this room, just do it with intentions and know that everything that you do is part of it. Because once you get to the destination, you figure out that the real enjoyment of it is the journey. Getting there. Getting through all the freaking hoops of life. Some are on fire. Some are surprises. I want to open up the room also for any questions that you guys may have for me. Yes. Riverside and Chapin. Riverside High School and Chapin, yeah. So La Mordida, that's the beauty of it. We don't always go. So right now, Del Valle has been top dog for like last seasons. They've only made us come once, and they have a hell of a quarterback. Jake Fetty, he is also already signed to ASU. He's freaking awesome. But La Mordida is about shining in the right place at the right time, because once you're in news, you find out that there's at least 10 plus games going on at once. I have at my disposition like 4, 5, 6 photogs. And sometimes these games are very well distributed among the city that I can only give one to a photog or 2. Some of them get 3. But we also have a deal going on with KTSM. So we share video with them. So Telemundo is the only station that is owned by a network. We're owned by NBC. And since KTSM is an NBC affiliate, so we have that kind of partnership going on with them. And to your question, yes, so you have to be at the right place at the right time, and the only 2 schools to have ever done it is Riverside and Chapin. And by the way, I'm sorry, I forgot. But so in the 3 years that I've been here, I've already collected 5 Emmys. This year I went for 3, but and that's what to the point. Thank you guys. But so whatever you do, do it with intention, no matter what they say. And even then, right now, with the titles that I have, a lot of the people in my business will be like, "Nah, no mames." He paid for that, and I did pay to be considered, among the nominees. And it freaking sucks. Because last year I was nominated for 2 and I only came back with 1, and it freaking sucks because you spend all this money, and especially if you go to the dinner, because then you have to pay for the plane tickets and then for the dinner. So if you want to pay for yourself, it's $100, and if you're an early bird, it's like $80. But then if you want to take a loved one, it's $280 to take them. So you spend all this money, and then when I went there, the guy who was competing against me was a guy from Houston that covers all the freaking teams that I'm covering for Telemundo Deportes, but this guy is doing it for Univision. He took his wife. I go there and introduce myself. Hola, soy Manny, la chingada. He's like, he's not looking there friendly. He's like, oh, so you're the guy. You're the guy that thinks he can sit at the same table. I'm like, dude, you know what? I didn't even, I just paid to be nominated. I didn't even want to be nominated, but if I must, I will be that guy. Thank God I got that, but I wanted just to make sure that you guys, I am not the most confident guy all the time, and I am not the most knowledgeable sports anchor. But if I was able to be nominated, if I was able to win all of this, is because I believed in myself and because what I did it with intentions. And I found a differential point. I am sorry. I took longer than I wanted to. 33 years. That's how old I turned last week. It's been rough because I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. Before that, I wanted to be a professional soccer player, a charro. I wanted to be a charro as well. There's a lot of things that I wanted to do before. This is one of the things that I haven't failed at. Well, it was that hunger. And I found out when I was working at the dealership, because I was already making over $80,000 as a 20-year-old, and I could have kept doing that. And you know what? You just made me remember something. I remember once, in order to get a guy um, in a what's it called, a Mirage, which is like a three-cylinder car. I made him sign off all of his Netflix accounts and all of his whatever gym accounts, and I knew he was struggling, but I knew I had to make the sale. I made the sale. The thing is that about a few months after, I saw the freaking trailer that was pulling back his car, and I knew I was part of it because I knew, you know, especially in Mitsubishi, I found out that a lot of the people that end up there, it's because the cars are sought after by people who don't have the best of credits. So if you already know that these people are vulnerable and you're kind of offering it like that, it makes you feel a bit empty, right? So yeah, you can have all the money in the world, but also it made me realize whatever I do, I mean, can't be this. I'd rather go make less, but if I'm gonna feel great with what I do at the end of the day. And I always had an itch for this, starting high school. And I left it because I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna get the same as if I go in the medical field. And I always got the grades for it. It's just my heart was not in it. Any other questions? Yes. Yes. I still do. Even now more than ever because so in this show that's so it's called Panorama Deportivo. We don't really talk about soccer, which is my favorite sport. It's NBA, NFL, MLB, because Latino communities are very football oriented. And we're actually I'm planning on going to the next World Cup in 2026. So we eat that every day. So this has made me go outside of my comfort zone and learn a lot of the things that yeah, of course I know how to play it and stuff, but more of like the history and the controversies of why this affects that team and the statistics of it. And now I even find myself wanting to go maybe to a different market. But you know something very nice when I go on air with them is that regardless of me talking about the Texans or the Astros, they always say Emmanuel Esparza desde El Paso. And that fills me with a lot of pride knowing that, it's from El Paso. I'm still representing El Paso, even if I'm talking about other teams. They always say my city's name, so yeah. But yeah, I still feel the hunger, even then right now. That's why I was here a little later than Mr. Hanley had told me, because I just want to make sure that everything for today's coverage of the game is is good. And I need to actually edit La Mordida for this week, which is airing today at 5. I haven't started on that. So as soon as I go here, I'm going to go leave, make sure that we have enough highlights for the game, and then probably edit La Mordida like in 20 minutes. So, yeah, I stay hungry. And that's why it's important that you stay on your lane. What you want to do, it's very important because you have to stay hungry. I didn't get to be the best of what I am right now just because I was there. I had to be hungry and I had to be uncomfortable I had to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, and I also had to go where nobody was willing to go. Because if you still, even if I take a day off, there's no one in my building, even though everybody loves La Mordida and what it does for us. There's no one in my own building that is willing to go with a cake to the high school and with the football teams. So you have to be willing to do all of those things too. Dime.
So, would you say that being willing to take risks is an important step to moving up the career field?
Yes and no. Yes, of course, because sometimes you also have to know what you're aiming for. Because if you're trying to like start a freelancing business, that's probably good, you know, but probably don't go off and say it to everyone, right? Like I have, for example, I have a friend of mine that went to the Houston market, right, to the Telemundo over there, and then he went and got another job offer, and he went and interviewed with that company, which was offering them a better position and everything. He came back, and the first thing that he did was tell his boss about it. Hey, just letting you know, I went right now and I applied to this other company, and they're offering me much more money. But I wanted to let you know just in case, you know, I wouldn't take that kind of risk. Like, always measure that. But what kind of risk would you say?
Like it's like what you said, getting out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you were working at the car dealership, you were already making a good amount of money, and then you realized that's not what you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you decided I'm gonna go into media production / journalism field. And like, did you know that it would be like sort of difficult in a way?
Ah, I see. You know what helped me out a lot? Remember I told you I knew what it was to literally be hungry? I did touch rock bottom. So I was like, I already know what that is like. And I've never felt that again. I made myself that promise. As long as I don't go hungry again. And, you know, yes, I did step down from a lot of money that I was making throughout this. Now I'm probably there, you know, again. But it took a longer road. But it is worth taking risks. Yes, of course. In that sense, yes. Yes, all the time. All the time, man, because you don't realize it, but you're freaking young. You have a lot of time. All of you guys. Even, shit, even at 30 right now, I consider myself very young and I can still do a lot of things, you know. And I have a friend, I found my best friend at 30. And he got me into weightlifting. It doesn't show yet, but he also tells me it's a long process, and I believe in that. And eventually, when I come back in 7 years, Mr. Henley, you will have a buff sports anchor, hopefully. Any other questions? Yeah, a lot of them. Actually, my best friend, the 30-year-old, he's my biggest mentor right now. And it's very, very important to stay focused because remember I told you I was, so I've been nominated for 6 Emmys and I've brought home 5. Last year I was nominated for 2. And I was there at the table. When I lost that second nomination, I was devastated. Yo estaba en mi pobrecito moment, en mi hijo pobrecito moment, you know, like how the fuck did I just miss like my second? And my best friend, and he's looking at the screens and he's going like, okay, yeah, that's. And he's like, dude, you know what? Next year, I think you can go for the best anchor in Texas. I'm like, what? No me puedo ni ganar este Emmy, güey. I can't even win this one. You know, how the fuck am I going to be the best? He's like, dude, no, you don't get it. Well, I just saw shit. You're already making a difference. Even if it's El Paso, you're making a difference. But you don't believe in yourself. You're not willing to go and do it. You're not willing to go with the uncomfortable because you're not willing to go pay $150 to be judged and say, see, but he had to get paid to be nominated. And then you have to go and be willing to go through the whole process again and maybe stay seated one more time. But that's what life is all about, he said. And you have to take these moments with grace. Learn to lose and grow for them because until now, that's all you've been doing in life. Before you were here at Telemundo, you learned to lose. I got offered a position at Univision. I told you that, right? I went to Mr. Kevin Lovell, which is the news director, was for the longest time ever in El Paso. Nobody held that position longer than that guy. He said, Manny, I've seen your packages. You're doing amazing. Your growth out of the roof. And I knew he was bullshitting, because I hadn't done that well. But he was well intended, and I said, you know what? Univision has a job offer for me. And then his face completely turned, and he's like, well, Manny, this is going to be the shortest conversation of your life. And he pretty much told me a lot of things, and then he said, but you know what? This is going to be a test of character. I'm going to see now if you put in the work, and if you don't, now I know why. After that, then I produced the best packages I had ever done at KVIA. And then I put together a demo reel, which then landed me my job at Telemundo. So yeah, I have great mentors, and the best one, he taught me that sometimes the losses are even more valuable than the wins. Because he said this probably could have been your Emmy before, but now you have to go chase something else. But yeah, and I hope you guys have mentors too, because it's nobody that is great gets there by themselves. And of course, I have been blessed enough to surround myself with people greater than me. Any other questions? Yes. Yes, at the Sumble, I did an internship during their COVID year. I took over their Throwback Thursdays posts, and I would do all this research, and then I would be like very proud of all the likes. Thank you for being here. Yes, of course. Thank you for the question. And I would be very proud about that too. Now the Mordida are probably like doing better than I ever did, but yeah. You don't need internships. You just need to be at the right place at the right time and work your ass off for the right intention. Yeah, and I'm always I was always a yes student. I never thought of any project as small. Any peer that would come to me with an idea, be like, yeah, let's figure out a way to do it. I think I did a skit. I don't know if it was for your class or someone else's, but I did like kind of like the office skit, you know. So yeah, I mean, I've never been afraid to look silly in front of the camera because have you seen what influencers do nowadays? I mean, and I don't mind that. I would love to be an influencer too. Right now, I'm bound by a contract, but I would advise that too. If you guys have a niche for social media, start now. That's free. Make a name for yourself. Get followers. That's very substantial. Very, very substantial. Any other questions? I want to thank you all for your time. If you guys have any questions in the future, you can find me online at Soy Emmanuel Esparza, which is Spanish for I am Emmanuel Esparza, not the soy sauce. Soy Emmanuel Esparza, and you can find out more about me and what I do there. Right now, I'm a bit saturated with high school football, and the Locos throw in a middleweight, a gaming during the week, but it's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Well, right now I have a cameraman there that is gonna make sure I don't lose any of the scores, and that way when I get there, I go and then I start editing La Mordida. That's gonna air at 5. And then I get down there and then I ask him for the SD card and then I start working on my laptop, which goes with me everywhere, right here. I'll be in the press box, edit that, and then I'll come down and then I'll probably do like the little highlights of the game and then I'll toss to this package. I went to Eastwood High School for the first time. Yesterday. So it's airing today. You're a trooper?
Yes, and I
Heck
actually
yeah.
over there. I don't know if you have seen them, like the people going like with the camera and stuff and recording.
Uh-huh.
They have at Intu, they have
A media class? Okay, I did not know they had it. I was in one myself, Riverside High School. Actually graduated there.
yeah, and
I went to Coronado High School too, but I didn't fit in there very well.
yeah, I used to do the football up there.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, did you already have a lot of experience with that? Hey, you know, as students, you can also just request your media passes for high school. I mean, a lot of people don't report on that, and you gotta be willing to go where nobody else is willing to go, and you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So, whatever you guys may need, you may find. Yeah. Yes. Yes, but my dream is the World Cup for FIFA, which yo tengo mi velita, man. I want to be there next year. I want to be I'm actually, so, you know, I went to Guadalajara to cover Chivas versus America. So I want to go there for the World Cup because Mexico is going to have their second game throughout the whole tournament there. There's other games going there, but that's the highlight of the thing. So once that is over, I don't know what my next will be, but I think the closer I get to it, the sooner I will get to figure that out. But yeah, I went to the one in Las Vegas. The Chiefs took that one. You like the Chiefs? Who do you like? You like the Cowboys? Me neither. Not anymore. A 40 tie against the Phillies. What have we come down to? We celebrate now that. But it's okay. Any other questions, guys? Yes?
What would you recommend to start broadcasting?
How?
No, how would you, no, with what thing would you recommend to start broadcasting? Like how do you think it's like the proper way to start like narrowcasting, start like proper way? Like for example, for you, your first news on Telemundo, how do you feel? How did you work on them, or how do you experience? You know?
Okay. So are you talking about like getting my foot in the door of the business or like choosing what goes on air?
Like how do you start?
How do you start? Well, remember, I didn't start at Telemundo. I started at KVA, and they offered me an editing job and a photojournalist job. So what I was doing, I was going in there at 4 a.m. in the morning, and then I would end at 7, 8 in the morning, and then they would have other assignments for me to go shoot. And then I would come, edit them, or edit packages for the reporters that were going in front of the camera. Now, me, I also always wanted to be in front of the camera, but I had to wait for the right chance. If you're not where you want to be yet, hang close to where you can get there. Hang close enough and wait for that opportunity. Once that opportunity comes, it doesn't matter what else you've scheduled before. You take that opportunity because it may not come again. It's waiting about, and this is the mistake that a lot of people make. They wait for the opportunity to get ready. You have to be ready. to go when that opportunity sets. You have to already know how you want to look in front of the camera, what you want to sound like, and what you would like to talk about. So that way, when that opportunity comes, then you know kind of what you were going to do. I don't know if that kind of answers. Yeah? Okay. Because this is my first time doing this, man. So you can always tell me, hey, you suck. Give it another try, and I will. Oh, no, don't get me wrong. Some people are freaking good. Like Rosemary Montañez, Carla Draxler, they were hired at KVIA and KTSM way before they even graduated college. So yeah, no, everybody has their own road as well. But the point that I would like for you guys to take away from all of this is if somehow you end up not being or landing where you want to be, just make sure you land very close and that you stay ready and then take every opportunity that you can. Sara Coria, she's a KVIA now, weather girl, and an anchor. She started as an editor. She started as an intern, got hired as an editor, and then she hanged on there until she made it. And now she's doing promos, having a blast on the screen, you know. So it's going to happen. And I'll tell you a lot why, because this is also a business, Mr. Hanley can attest to that a lot of people are not willing to hang on to for a long time, especially now more than ever. So if you really want an opportunity, trust me, not a lot of people are made to hang on to this business. Because it's tough too. I don't even know if I'll be, after the World Cup, I'm like, is it worth it, Mr. Hanley? How much do they pay here at APCC? Nah, I'm kidding, of course not. No, you gotta stay hungry. No. But that's also why you gotta be very hungry, you know? If this is for you, great. But I'll tell you right now, if this is something that you guys don't have a passion for, then it will probably be a short road. Any other questions? I'm sorry, I tend to be dramatic with my answers. Yes, of course, as many as you like. Yes. Yes, of course. Reach out to me. I'll leave my contact information with Mr. Hanley. If you need it, write me an email, and then I will talk to my supervisors. Hey, you know what? Can we do a shadowing? Maybe even do like a little field trip?